Have you ever wondered what you would sound like on another world? Your voice is shaped by the air around you, the thickness, the temperature, even the chemicals floating in the atmosphere. So what would happen if we sent you on a journey across the solar system? From the scorched surface of Mercury to the icy blue winds of Neptune? Would you sound deep, high-pitched, or not be heard at all? Let's travel across every planet and find out how your voice would change or disappear completely. Our first stop is the tiniest planet, Mercury, a world baked by the sun on one side and frozen solid on the other. Daytime temperatures blast up to 430 degrees Celsius, 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Nighttime plummets to minus 180 degrees Celsius, minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Why such extremes? Because Mercury doesn't really have an atmosphere. Instead, it has a fragile exosphere, just scattered atoms of oxygen, helium, potassium, and sodium drifting around like cosmic dust. And that means one thing. Backhand index pointing right, your voice cannot travel here. Sound needs air to move. On Mercury, the air is so thin that the vibrations from your vocal cords would simply vanish into the near vacuum. You could scream with all your strength, and even your own ears wouldn't hear it. But there is one way to experience sound. If you pressed your ear against the rocky surface during a Mercury quake, you'd feel a deep vibration rumbling through the ground, not through the air. A world of fire and ice, and total silence. Let's go somewhere louder. Next up, Venus, the most extreme of all rocky planets, a crushing, boiling world wrapped in yellow clouds. Its atmosphere is so thick that standing on Venus would feel like being 1 kilometer underwater. The pressure is 90 times stronger than Earth's. And your voice, it transforms dramatically. Because Venus's air is dense carbon dioxide, sound travels faster and deeper. Backhand index pointing right, your voice becomes an ultra-low, booming bass. Think of speaking through a massive subwoofer. Your words would vibrate the air like rolling thunder. Even if you were physically small, your voice would sound like a giant's growl. But your ears? They'd evolve thicker eardrums, smaller outer ears, and fluid-filled channels, like crocodiles, just to survive the constant pressure. Mars may look calm, but it holds surprises. Gravity here is only 38% of Earth's, so you'd be taller, leaner, and lighter on your feet. But your voice? Backhand index pointing right, it would sound muted, low, and strangely distant. The Martian atmosphere is incredibly thin, just 1% as dense as Earth's, and almost entirely carbon dioxide. Even if you screamed, it would come out as a soft, muffled hum. Not because you're whispering, but because the air cannot carry sound waves well. The speed of sound is slower too, around 240 meters per second, and higher frequencies get absorbed by CO2. So your voice becomes deeper, quieter, almost like speaking through a heavy mask. If someone stood more than a few meters away, they probably wouldn't hear you at all. Let's move from thin air to worlds made entirely of gas. Jupiter. The helium squeak, 1 minute 30 seconds. Jupiter has no solid surface. If you lived here, you'd float in giant cloud habitats high in the atmosphere, where pressure matches Earth's. The air is mostly hydrogen and helium, and extremely cold at minus 110 degrees Celsius. And because helium speeds up sound, backhand index pointing right, your voice becomes very high-pitched, like a tiny helium-powered chipmunk. Sound travels 3 times faster here. Your vocal cords vibrate rapidly, making every word squeaky and fast. But you'd have competition. Jupiter is insanely loud. Giant storms. Mega lightning. The Great Red Spot roaring for centuries. Your squeaky voice would need to fight through planetary thunder. Let's jump to its ring neighbor. And remember, this planet's air is mostly carbon dioxide. You couldn't breathe it unless your body evolved to extract oxygen from CO2 like a superplant. Venus is loud, hot, and crushing, but the next world is thin, cold, and quiet. Saturn's atmosphere is similar to Jupiter's: hydrogen, helium, and freezing temperatures. Your voice? Still high-pitched and fast, though not as extreme as Jupiter. But communication would be difficult. Saturn's winds can reach 1,800 kilometers per hour, 1,100 miles per hour. Imagine trying to shout during a hurricane. On calm days, your squeaky Saturn voice would travel far, carried by the light gases. But in storms, Your words would vanish into the endless roaring wind. Time to go farther, into the deep cold. Uranus is often called the bland planet, but its atmosphere has something new: methane. This methane absorbs red light, giving the planet its icy blue color. Your voice here? Still high-pitched, but not as squeaky as Jupiter or Saturn. The atmosphere is colder and slightly denser, so sound travels slower. But the biggest issue is the smell. Hydrogen sulfide in the upper clouds means Uranus smells like rotten eggs. So while you speak in a helium-like pitch, you'd also be gagging on the odor, assuming you could breathe at all. Now for the strongest winds in the solar system. Neptune is chaos. A world of deep blues, freezing storms, and record-breaking winds that reach 2,400 kilometers per hour, 1,500 miles per hour. You could scream. Your voice would again be high-pitched due to the hydrogen-helium air, but, backhand index pointing right, no one would ever hear it. Your voice would be swallowed instantly by the violent, non-stop howling of the atmosphere. Neptune is the loudest natural wind machine in the solar system. Your tiny chipmunk-like voice wouldn't stand a chance. So now you've screamed across the solar system. Mercury, your voice disappears in silence of Venus. You become a subwoofer Mars. Your words come out muted to Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Squeaky chipmunk mode activated. Each world reshapes your voice because sound depends on the air around you. The pressure, the gases, the temperature, the density. In a way, every planet gives you a new identity. A new voice. A new way to be heard at all. Which planet would you want to live?